Hi everyone, Liam here from U.S Sports Scholarships, Managing Director, here to give you an online basketball seminar along with
Darren Johnson. I'm the head of basketball here at U.S Sports Scholarships.
good stuff. So we're going to give you more background about us, but hopefully this will be under an hour, so like pretty concise to give you an overview. We could probably spend a whole day doing this, but just kind of like for those of you now starting the process, it should be super helpful. And then obviously for those that have got potential and serious about the process, we can then do follow-up calls with Darren and I as well. So yeah, welcome. We're here to talk about basketball in America, specifically playing at college level. We do work across a variety of sports, but obviously we're here to talk about basketball. For those of you that haven't applied, that this is the first time you're looking into it, feel free to go on our website, ussportsscholarships.com. We will get back to you in 24 hours if you do apply and give you genuine, honest, and transparent feedback on both your eligibility, but also where we think you could fit within the college system. So that being said, we've got some slides here that we're going to work through, and Darren will add to what I say as well. First and foremost, why would you look to go out to America? So Darren and I, who will talk about our experiences, but we're from pretty remote places in England to then being able to go out to America and live in pretty exciting places as well. So for both of us, I think it was genuinely something that we'd always looked at for quite a long while. Probably, I mean, I'd never been to the States before I moved there. Darren, had you been there?
Never.
No.
No, not
Yeah.
before starting the process of going there.
Yeah, so for me, like being from Ipswich in England to living in downtown Chicago was a bit of an eye opener, but a positive one. But I knew America was a big place, but didn't appreciate just how big. So you got over 5,000 colleges and universities, and particularly maybe for parents that are listening to this, you might appreciate that pretty much all athletes at university in America on athletic scholarship are paying significantly less than if they went to university in their homeland. So financially, it can make a lot of sense. And to put that into perspective, over 800 schools in America offered over $25,000 in athletic scholarship per year to players on their team. So it is big money as well. There are huge opportunities. And again, hopefully, what you get from today is it's the closest thing to being a professional without being one. And for those of you know the system well, you know that a lot of NBA greats on the men's side have come out from the college program as well. So opportunity to study and be at some of the top universities in the world. Like, for example, we've got a picture here of Zion, who was at Duke, top programs that they can then lead the way to the pro leagues as well. And having played out there for me, and I think Darren will echo this as well, it's the closest thing to being a professional athlete without being one, because it is treated like a professional business. There's so much money going through these schools and their athletics departments. And that's quite a controversial one in terms of athletes not being paid, but we can always do that on a separate seminar with the name, image, likeness ruling. But they're charging people money to come and play them and to come and watch them play, and they're selling merchandise. You know, it is like a fully functioning pro team. An opportunity here for to study in some of the world's greatest cities. As I said, for me, Chicago is one of my favorites, and I'll probably keep harping on about the Bulls throughout, but which Darren already knows. But yeah, there's definitely like unbelievable cities that you're able to experience life in. And then, as I said, we've all got social media and content. Feel free to check out our website as well to see just what like college sports are like. It's absolutely crazy. We'll talk about the different divisions, but like for the NCAA, over 75% of their annual revenue comes from March Madness, which is the national basketball tournament. So yeah, it's absolutely huge. And then again, coming back to the financial side, is that it is a genuine opportunity if you have the ability and you have the academics and you're eligible to go to an incredible university and come out completely debt free. Darren, have you got anything to add to that? Like why you think America was like attractive for you or a good option?
Well, I always wanted to be a professional player, and I thought this would be a good stepping stone to reach that. And having now coached in the professional game, I think a lot of agents and players or coaches, sorry, see the US and respect it. The UK, not so much with the level that it's at, although it is increasing at the moment. The other thing is, I don't have to drop it now, but there are 7 levels of collegiate basketball in the States. It's not just NCAA Division One. And just because you go in at the 6th level of that college system doesn't mean you can't become a professional at the end of it. It's just that, talent will speak. And if you're talented, you'll be noticed. We're just trying to help you guys find where on those 7 levels the best fit would be for you.
Perfect. And just Blue Peter style, on to the next one is that leads us quite nicely into the next content. So as Darren said, there's different governing bodies, there's different divisions within those governing bodies. Also, to Darren's point, just because a school's NCAA Division One doesn't mean it's necessarily better than a Division Two, or even an NAI, or even a D1 at an NJCAA, because there's no promotion or relegation. There are teams in D1 that are taking a hiding. There's not going to be a relegation worry for them. The school doesn't get the status based on how good their men's or women's basketball team is. It's about more than that. So naturally, if you think of some of the best or biggest schools that might come to mind in the country, whether it's Stanford or UCLA or Berkeley, like obviously all these programs get their status based on facilities, campus, students, etc., etc. But the key thing is there's over 500,000 student athletes in the American college system every year across a variety of sports, and there are over 2,000 basketball college programs. So, to Darren's point, based on your ability, the level you've played at, your academics, and your budget, we're here to guide you towards, through our experience, what we think could be a good fit for you. And I'm sure Darren will echo this because he's coached both at JUCO and D2 and D1. Some of the best players start at JUCO and end up at D1, and the journey is very much about where you finish, not where you start, and that's where your degree comes from ultimately as well. But obviously, without killing people too much with the information on this slide, Darren, I don't know if you had anything to add about what you'd already said before there in terms of the different divisions.
No, with junior college, just the further down you go, the more you pay is basically what it is. If it's, higher level and, D1 or even D2 or Division One JUCO, it's more full rides. And then the further down is how much you pay, NAI, etc.
Yeah.
But definitely exploring all options and not just having that tag of wanting to play Division One will definitely open an opportunity for you to reach out. And I'll say, just because you go in Division Two junior college doesn't mean you can't become a pro. I coached a player at University of Texas Pan Am called Paul Stoll. He started out of high school, didn't get any offers from Division One schools or Division Two schools, so he went to his local one, Lansing Community College, and basically did 2 years there. Did really good. We took him at a low major D1 at UTPA. And after graduating from us, he's gone on and played in the EuroLeague. He's played for the Mexican national team. He's played against Team USA and beaten those. He's played against Steph Curry through the clubs that he played with. So he reached the highest level. He's a multimillionaire now. But he started out not even being recruited out of high school at a D1 or a D2 school. So, you need to be open-minded as far as options out there versus just being fixed mindset on a Division One NCAA school.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. And I'll always say it, and Darren, again, going back to the Bulls, like if you look at like Dennis Rodman, he wasn't ever going to play basketball and was just playing a pickup game in Oklahoma, and he went to an NAI program in Oklahoma, and then obviously went on to have a fairly decent career. And Scottie Pippen went NAI route as well. So I'm a firm believer, and we are as a business, that like if you're good enough, you'll end up getting spotted and picked up because there's enough scouts out there that are looking for the next best thing, and ultimately everything happens for a reason. So you'll end up at the school that should be right for you, but it doesn't mean it needs to be the one that you end on. So but yeah, look, as I said, we're here also, we appreciate it can be a bit of a minefield, and we're here to guide you towards what should be a good program for you, both academically and athletically. um to that point on scholarships, I was definitely naive when I went out to America and thought, look, I've played high level, I've got good grades, I expect to have a what you'd call a full scholarship, which covers the cost of tuition, food, and housing. Unfortunately, what I didn't appreciate is that a coach doesn't have a blank checkbook and can't say, oh, I like these 50 kids, let's bring them all in and give them all a full scholarship. I don't think the school would be too happy for that, right? Because ultimately, it's a business for the coach as well. They might have some kids paying a lot more than other kids in the same squad. So it's really about balancing the books for them. And the point of this slide, which Darren can add a bit more to as well, is that first and foremost, there's over 2,000 schools. And if you look at these different divisions and governing bodies, one of the key factors is NCAA Division Three don't give athletic scholarships, so therefore it can be financially quite a lot of money. But also secondary to that is that there's hundreds of different schools at different options, and the coach is restricted with how many scholarships they can give. So again, you might think I'll go to a Division One, but if you're not going to get much time on the court and you're having to pay a significant amount of money, you might be better going to a Division Two or an NAI program where you still can be in a great location at a good school, get court time, prove yourself, and then potentially kick on. But yeah, Darren, I don't know if you want to add to that as well.
I think with the scholarships, like for NCAA Division One, it's 13 full scholarships. You either get a full or you don't get a full. That's for the girls and boys. 13 for the boys or men, sorry, and then 15 for the girls. As you go down Division Two or NAI or even Division Two JUCO, coaches can split the scholarships up, so they can give you books and fees, or they can give you tuition only. They can give you, tuition and, well, say Division Two, they can give you, accommodation and food, but don't pay tuition. So they can put together a package, is what I'd like to say. So we will be there to help you once you get to that stage, of differentiating what the scholarship is and all the ins and outs that go with it. Division Two, JUCO, they can't pay for any accommodation, so they can only pay for your books, your fees, your tuition. So again, it's educating yourself and your family basically to what is out there and how it all comes together, so that you can understand fully where you sit in the system that's there, and to succeed. But as I said, it's not all about Division One, and if it isn't, as you go down, it's going to be a bit more cost on yourself. But it's for us to help you with that.
Yeah, and what we'd always say is the hardest thing is just getting yourself into the like US college system. Once you're in there, like even if you went to a 2 year school, if you smash it, we can potentially get you out to a top 4 year, or even your costs could go down year two, because the coach doesn't always have to give scholarship towards new incoming players. They can reward existing ones to, encourage them to stay within the program as well. So yeah,
And on top of that, sorry, Liam, to interrupt.
yeah.
I always say to all the players I've helped before, the first year is the most expensive. Once you're over there, there are other scholarships that the school offers that sometimes they can direct you to with the international students office that could make it cheaper. You can also, the lay of the land, so you can get a possible part-time job if the coach will let you and your schedule will let you more in the summertime, so that there's a way. And usually they won't let freshmen work, or they won't let freshmen do certain things, whereas when you're a sophomore, they'll then allow you to do more things, which makes it cheaper. So again, it's just educating you to the system and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and if you're looking purely at a financial perspective, and if you were treating us like a basketball sports agent and ultimately judging us based on what interest and offers we're able to get for you, we also are in a position where we know what schools can offer. So if we're dealing with like a D2 program, you might be thinking, well, why are they not offering me this? We might say, look, that is physically the best they can offer you, right? So, or we might say, actually, we know they can get you down to less because they've made a better offer for one of our other athletes. So again, there's huge values in that. For example, if Darren and the team can save you $2,000 a year, well, actually, that's $8,000 that just saved you over the whole, program of the degree if you end up staying there. I don't want to spend too much time on this because, it's particularly for the athletes that are listening. I don't know if it's a fun topic, but a quick overview is that pre-COVID, if you wanted to play at a 4 year university, you would have to sit and pass the entrance exam. We mainly focus on the SAT, but the ACT is essentially a European equivalent of that entrance exam. It's about 4 hours, so lots of fun. I'm sure those listening are super excited about it. But it's essentially looking at English, maths, and critical thinking, multiple choice. They have moved it to a digital exam now, which you still do have to go in person, but it's done on a device, mainly obviously a laptop. You use their software, and that way papers don't go missing, which we have had in the past, which is super frustrating for athletes, but also you're going to get your scores back quicker. But yeah, since COVID, obviously, it wouldn't have been a good idea to get 50 strangers in a room to take an exam. So the governing bodies for college sport, NCAA, NAIA, and NJCAA, who didn't require it anyway, dropped that as a requirement to be eligible to compete. And around 80% of schools at the time of recording this have also dropped it, including the likes of, for example, Stanford or UCLA. However, if you are looking to go to a 4 year school, do remember that pretty much every American will probably take it. So it can be helpful to take because you're putting yourself on a level playing field or maybe a differentiator. And also, even though 80% of schools don't require it as part of their admissions, it doesn't mean that more schools aren't able to give academic scholarship based on the SAT score that you could get. So yeah, again, everyone's slightly different. You might want to wait, see what offers come in, and if all the schools don't require it, you might not take it. But I think there is still a lot of value, and who knows, it might actually come back into play as we come back to a more normal, non-COVID environment. But Darren, have you got anything to add on the entrance exam?
No, no. Just that if you do it, Division One is a sliding scale on the SAT and your GPA, and Division Two is just straight up. You have to pass the SAT and get over 820.
Yeah, exactly that. And but again, we can provide support with that. We've got helpful resources such as videos. We've got past papers with answers. We've got partners that can give tuition. So for those of you looking down that route, we can provide that support as well. I guess a good time to actually introduce properly us as a company. U.S. Sports Scholarships. Don't need to give you the Wikipedia history of us, but there is more information on the website. But essentially, me and two of my colleagues over 15 years ago started the business because ironically, we had really bad experiences using companies. We all used three different companies. Um, Without boring you too much on my experience specifically, I had to take a gap year because they never told me I needed to take the entrance exam when it was compulsory. So, for those of you listening, you've already learned more than what I did, which was frustrating because I didn't want to take a gap year. I failed the eligibility center for the NCAA. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing now. But because I'd been paid to compete, I just put that, and they considered me a professional, even though I wasn't. So that was good fun as well. So that's why I ended up going down the NAIA route. And then while I was in America, after a couple of years, I was doing fairly well. I knew I could have transitioned into a Division 1 program on a full scholarship, and the company I went through just ignored me. I think from their perspective, they thought they'd got me out to America, therefore there was no financial gain for helping me again. So it was through those bad experiences we've now shaped this company. So we're all former student athletes providing the service that we'd have wanted. And the model that we created the business on, we've kept to this day. So we're signing 50 athletes per sport per year. And you might think that's quite strange, but the reason being is like when you're a kid in the process, like I was in a company that's got over 1,000 kids, you're just a number in the process. I could never get hold of anyone. That's why I made repeated mistakes. I didn't really know much about the program I was going to. I think I literally just went there because I liked the Chicago Bulls and I thought, well, I'm in Chicago. I definitely didn't research the winters that they have out there. So, that was a waste of time taking some suntan lotion for my first full semester because it was just snowing the whole time. And look, we would never have placed me at that school were we doing it ourselves. So, but look, everything happens for a reason. Probably wouldn't have started the business had we all had amazing experiences. And through those tough times, we want to make sure none of our athletes have those similar experiences. We must be doing something right. I mean, this is a little bit out of date, but like we have secured over $30 million now and placed over 1,500 athletes at over 700 different schools. And what's key with us is not only we former student athletes, but we've got people that have experienced it to a high degree themselves and are specialists in their sport. I went out on a soccer scholarship, but it's Darren here who heads up our basketball division because Darren has played and coached at every single level in America, and therefore he's best placed for that, right? So we're experienced, connected in that we work with every basketball scholarship given university or community college in America. Trusted and respected in that we've been doing it a long while. So as you can imagine, we've built up a huge network, and Darren's network goes right from community college all the way through to the pro leagues, if that's what your aspirations are. And then the last thing which we pride ourselves on is that personal support. So if you're one of 50 players across men's and women's basketball, we might be only representing 3 or 4 other players in your position. So when a coach rings up Darren and says, I need a male basketball player who's a point guard for 2025, who have you got? Darren and the team know you personally and can say the pros and cons, but also compare you to other athletes that we've placed there, therefore to get the best possible outcome. And I'm sure this all sounds amazing, but don't just take my word for it. We're transparent with it. We've got Trustpilot page, so feel free to hear from other players that we've already worked with. Darren, anything to add to that?
No, I think that's about. I don't know if you want me to say something now. You can cut this bit out, but do you want me
Yeah,
to say
that's
something about myself or what?
No, that's cool. Yeah, we'll get to that as well. So yeah, moving on from that, I guess just echoing what I've put is we do get over. In fact, now this year we just got over 20,000 applications.
Oh
The
wow.
25 there is gender sport specific. So as I said, 50 overall for basketball program each year. We're now just tipped over to 15 years. And yeah, as I said, secured a huge amount of scholarships. We can talk about costs as well on that as well, and potential budgets. But as I said, we're definitely not here to guarantee outcomes because ultimately it's a coach's decision who they want to sign and how much scholarship they want to give to you. But obviously, if you've got the ability and you've got the academics, then obviously we're going to be able to get you anything from a full scholarship to obviously a balance that's affordable for you and your family as well. And then I said the key thing is that 4 year support while you're in America too. Fun little fact, Darren. I don't know if I shared this as well, but Anthony Davis, who's pictured there, the Brow. He actually is from Chicago as well, so he used to practice at the university I went to in Chicago, and I think he's like 6'8" or maybe 6'9", so like no one could miss him. But even back then, he was probably like 15, and he would have D1 coaches coming to watch him train, and everyone would just be like, "That kid is going to play in the NBA." Well, he plays for the Lakers now, and he's played for America, so he's done pretty well. But yeah, that was with my limited knowledge, but he's gone on to do well, and it showcases again you are playing potentially with and against former professionals. This just echoes what I've said. Is like, as I said, we've placed over 1,500 athletes, but what I'd say is the maybe frustrating, but more for me the exciting part is until you start the process, we won't know where you're going to end up. Obviously, if you've got preferences and you say to Darren and his team, "I want to go East Coast," we're going to focus on those programs. Nobody probably wants to be in Alaska, for example, because of the weather, but we've got huge experience across all the schools with that. That Darren, when you obviously we'll get to your experience, but when you look to go out, what was your knowledge of the system, or did you just basketball priority and therefore that you followed that?
Had no idea. First time on a plane, first time in the States. I was a tourist the first time I tried out over there, and it was
Yeah,
like watching tennis. I never experienced it before. We didn't have social media where we can watch games and stuff, and we had Slam magazine still.
yeah,
So it was an eye opener, and I failed the first time. The coach, if I know in the system now, he laughed at me, and I came back, but I had to make a decision. Do I pursue this or do I just give it up? And so then I dedicated myself, and I went back out the following year for another tryout, and rest is history. He lined me up and said I was 100 times the player I was the year before, and that was based on my choices and my work ethic. And
yeah,
yeah, I had it. So I had no idea about the process. And now looking back, as I said, they were laughing at me as I came out because I was more of a tourist than I was trying out and a basketball player.
yeah.
So, and having now learned, I can understand where you may be as a family and as a player, and we can kind of relate with you to help you and guide you through that system.
Perfect.
Having been at the highest level as well. So,
Yeah, that's great. I mean, with this, as I touched on before, like, but we do pride ourselves on that personal support we're able to give to our athletes, but not only just from getting you out to America, but the most important bit, arguably, is making sure that you graduate at the right school and therefore supporting you throughout. So, again, we'll talk about the process, but we do have like a WhatsApp group with all of our athletes and their families so we can keep in constant communication. Because as Darren will testify, is like I feel like a day in this industry can sometimes be a month in normal world. In that scholarships come and go, it's so competitive for places. If you're going to be slow responding, they're talking to 40 other guys or girls that want that scholarship who might be more responsive. So it's super competitive. But yeah, so we've got that. So yeah, good time now to pass on to you, Darren. Just to obviously you've touched on a little bit about your background, but just to elaborate on your kind of journey throughout your time in America.
well, I started out at the Monterey Community College as a student athlete, so I made it, got a partial scholarship. It took time, like every international, you've got to fit in, and it took about 3-4 months for me to fit in. But by October, they've already selected their team, their 8 rotation. So I wasn't quite in. Again, it was all a learning curve. Second year was better, but when I came back after confirming I'll be on the team for the second year, I got injured in a practice in my previous club just about a month before I was leaving. So it's kind of a career-ending injury, which kind of sucked a little bit. But knowing the system, I didn't really want to be a player in that. Well, I did, but with my injury, it was kind of tough. But then the pathway for coaches is great, and I always wanted to be Division 1. Like a lot of kids, I guess. And so I decided that coaching was something that maybe I could put my hand to if playing is something that I couldn't. And I went through the system. So I became the head student manager there, worked hard, became a gym rat like I was as a player, but as a coach, and got to the right circles. The following year, I came back to this country. Funnily enough, it was through Nick Nurse, who's now with the 76ers in the NBA. But my head coach at DMAC was Coach Salmon, and he's a Hall of Famer. And he knew Nick Nurse because he was from Iowa. And he was with the London Towers at the time. And so we spoke, etc. And I came over and I was on the staff of the London Towers, stayed there for 2 years. We played in the EuroLeague, Northern European Basketball League, and the BBL. So I saw quite a different array. We played against Barcelona, played against Kinder Bologna, Zalgiris, the big names in Europe. So that was good experience. After that, I felt like I'm more about coaching the game and developing was my passion versus the pro game after the second year was more not stroking egos, but it's fitting egos together and it's working with, and it's a very different type of system. But I gained a lot of knowledge as far as being a pro contacts, agents, clubs, and that kind of thing, which, you know, I went on camps to do. And after that, through my coaching circle, I got back to the University of South Dakota, who at the time were Division II under the reign of Coach Boots. He's now a Hall of Famer as well. Luckily, they're a high major Division II. We was ranked in the top 16 in the country every year. So I learned a lot from that process and got to know people from there. And then I befriended a coach called Tom Schuberth. He was at University of Central Florida at the time, big name, one of the best recruiters in Division I. So he and I really clicked and we got well. So again, he got a job at the University of Texas Pan Am and pulled me with him. So then I reached my goal of coaching Division I NCAA. University of South Dakota wanted me to stay there, but they were Division II, and obviously Division I was where I wanted to go, and decided to take it. And Coach Schuberth, I mean, he's linked in with the Harlem Globetrotters and that sort of level. Best X and O coach I've known. Taught me a lot. Experienced what Division I basketball was about, more from the coaching standpoint. And then, as I said, I had to make a choice. I think when you're in the industry as a coach, and some players have never really experienced it, but as a coach, you dedicate a lot of your time to the industry. And I had to make a choice. I think at that point, I was with a girlfriend. Do I want to be married to the job, or do I want to be married to someone that I can go back to and have a family with? Because Division I is very demanding, and the divorce rate, and I should mention this, but the divorce rate is pretty high because they're on the road in July all the time. They don't really get to see their family or their kids grow up. So I made that choice to come back, and then I've run an academy in Bury St. Edmunds. I ran it for 14 years, and I wanted to try to give back. Kind of what I'm doing now is advice and sport and development of players to help the next generation go on and do what I did. I was told by my basketball coach in this country that I wasn't good enough to play basketball in the States, and so I shouldn't bother trying. I proved him wrong, and I've learned a lot along the system of doing it. And as I said, I've been in the EuroLeague Division I, every level of basketball. I've been there. The Dallas Mavericks invited me to do the Global Games in 2002, so I actually went on with rubbing shoulders with the NBA guys, and I knew the coaches, etc., and the scouts. So basically, in a nutshell, over 14 years of doing the academy, I helped 46 players, boys and girls, get to the States. And I've helped develop. So again, using my knowledge of the whole system, but I don't know it from a player, just from a player doing it from here, going there and succeeding. I suppose what a niche that I have, and I'm the only British coach to have coached in the NCAA Division I and the EuroLeague, is that I've seen it from a coach's perspective. So every step along the way, I see it from the coach's mindset versus a player like yourselves or a past player that's just seen it as a player or an athlete point of view. Because having seen it as a player and seeing it as a coach, there's a lot of dots that get connected that sometimes explain what I couldn't understand as a player to them be understanding it. So I've been able to express that and teach that to players that I've helped get to the States. I've helped 4 players that I helped get to the States go on to have professional careers. So I've got links with agents, etc., as well, to help bridge that gap between playing. So it's the full system that I know. And now, as I said, working with U.S. Sports Scholarships, I want to try to continue giving that information to players coming through to help them also have great experiences.
Perfect. No, that's great, Darren. And the huge value with that is, again, because you were responsible for recruiting for these programs in the
Yeah.
States, you know what a highlight video should look like. You know how we should obviously, for our clients, present that information to them, what the coaches are looking for, where they might have concerns or doubts, to make sure that you stand out as an athlete compared to the hundreds of other athletes that want those limited scholarships in America. What would you say were the key differences from like being at a JUCO to a Division I program?
NCAA Division I.
Yeah.
Differences as far as experience or facilities or what?
Yeah, just everything really. Anything that kind of stands out. I think facilities you're probably going to say is one of the
Um,
key ones, right?
Yeah, that, and I think junior college life is a lot tougher than a 4-year college life, in that usually JUCOs are more remote, not always in the big cities, etc. They're more sort of like close to cities, but not in the cities. If you look at Division 1 schools, they're more, Division 2s, they're either a college town of about 12,000, or they're in, big cities that they then pull to. So
Yeah.
I think the lifestyle is very different. Homesick will happen to everyone. It's just how you either get over it or you won't. And
Yeah.
depending if you're in a 4 year, like when I was at University of South Dakota, the environment there was so much more welcoming and so much more at peace with things. Whereas JUCO, it's more small town, smaller, not cliquey. It's not cliquey. The people are so nice and supportive. It's just you're more on a limb. There's not much to go and see except for be in the gym, practice, go home, do class, get back.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was at DMAC, we had Iowa State right by us, so we had a college town right there that we used to go to, and it was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, differences as far as sometimes the coaches, with 2 year, it's you start, you finish. Whereas with a 4 year, you've got more of a time to sort of blend into it. It's not more relaxed,
Yeah.
but also traveling to games. If you make Division 1, you're flying everywhere. You know what I'm saying? JUCO, you're bussing everywhere in a small van sometimes, or if you go Division 2, then NCAA, you're going in a big bus.
Yeah.
And you'll go for one trip on a plane. We went to Las Vegas. We went to play in a tournament out of UNLV with South Dakota.
Yeah.
But
We're actually
JUCO
going.
again.
Yeah,
What's that?
we're going out to watch them actually when we do our soccer tour in a couple of weeks. We're going to go see them play.
Yeah, that would be an experience, I'm sure, to see that kind of level.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's basically merchandise. You'll get less. When I was at college, it's changed now. But when I was at college, we had to actually pay for a little bit for our shoes, whereas now they're sponsored by Nike, the same colleges, but they're ranked in the country now.
Yeah.
So they get X, Y, Z. Whereas if you go Division 1, the merchandise is you get 5 pairs of shoes or another pair of shoes if you want. You'll get
Yeah.
like slides, you'll get training shoes, shorts, you name it. But JUCO, you won't.
Yeah.
Um,
If you go North Carolina, you're going to get pretty well kitted out with Air Jordan stuff, right?
Jordan, yeah, well, he's linked there, isn't it? So
Yeah.
definitely, it depends. I mean, again, every college is different. University of Texas Pan Am, we was linked in with Under Armour.
Yeah.
No, and one, which is now defunct, it stopped. So we
Yeah.
didn't really get the best merchandise, but at the time, I think it was what was more affordable for us as a college to do,
Yeah.
versus the JUCO route, which is get what you've got or given, basically. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I think that kind of sums up.
I guess a good recommendation for everyone to watch if they've not seen it, if they've got access to it. But Last Chance U on
Yeah,
Netflix is a real good one because they follow a community college each year, and you'll see that these are still super talented players. And one of the key themes is from an individual and selfish perspective, they also do want to kick on and get that top D1, and that is a realistic opportunity. But unfortunately, you can't get handed everything in life. You've got to work for it, and if you're willing to put that effort in, then the world is your oyster on that as well. But yeah, I definitely recommend watching that.
definitely. And as I said, JUCO is an opportunity still, but people don't
Yeah,
see that as a stepping stone to go Division 2, Division 1.
yeah.
So yeah, still has huge implication in the process to you reaching your end goal.
Yeah, we don't really need to talk about me too much because obviously coming from a soccer background, probably not as much of interest. But I think the key message for me is, which I said about earlier, is like my journey could have been a lot different had I had better support with that. But also, it was still an absolute life changer for me. Like Chicago is my favorite city in the world. Look to go back every year. Obviously, Darren, we will talk about it, but potentially we're going to do like tours out to Illinois as well because there's a huge basketball presence there as well. And for me, like I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life, and America provided an opportunity to get a degree. I've then since gone on to get a master's degree and start this business as well. So like for me, it's been a complete cliche but life changer. And that's what America gives you. Look, home will always be there. I missed home in my first semester away, like Darren said, but soon get used to not speaking to family and friends and seeing them for a good 6 months. Absolutely fine with that. But in all seriousness, like it is an incredible opportunity and a once in a lifetime one with that. To add that, like with the team, as I said before, like we're here to provide specialist support. So everyone who's heading up the various sports that we work for has obviously gone through the process themselves and had that experience with the college system. So we're all former student athletes wanting to provide the service that we would have liked to get ourselves. Um, in terms of our packages, just a quick overview. You'll find more on our website, but essentially like anybody can sign up to our online package, which gives you access. It's a good introduction. You can look through the various universities out there on our university database, watch the campus videos, learn more about that, see the overview of the process. For example, we talked about earlier entrance exams. You've got helpful practice papers on there. We've got strength and conditioning programs. So it's a real nice introduction to it. Um, Moving on from that, the package is still available to everyone, but I would always call this our DIY package. Is you get all the resources as one of our athletes that is a what we call a premier athlete, but ultimately the recruitment is down to you. I get that for those of you, this is the first time you've heard of these different packages, it might be a bit confusing, but feel free to go on the services page on our website to learn a little bit more. This one might make more sense when I go to our premier athlete. So this is what we've placed over 1,500 athletes in America on. When I was talking earlier about the one of 50 places on our program each year for basketball, this is what we're talking about, where Darren and someone in his team, could be me even, is your designated representative from start to finish, from when you look to go out to America, which could be 2 years in advance. So in certain examples, say for example, you're listening now and you were going 2025, or even 2026, say, you might get 2 years of service plus 4 years while you're out there. I mean, over 50% of our staff are also former athletes. So again, highlights we're really there to help you to that next level. And as I said, Darren has helped some of the athletes his place go on to become professionals. So it's not my experience was once I got placed, I never heard from the company again. We really are there for the 4 years with that premier athlete. But what I would say with the premier athlete, the key thing is we offer the premier athletes a place on the program. So we are super selective. As I said earlier, we did get over 20,000 applications this year across all sports, and we've only got a small cohort of 50. As I said, the benefit to those athletes is the personal support. But then selfishly, as a company, we've got a strong reputation with basketball coaches out there because they know it's almost like a badge of approval that if we're willing to sign someone, they know that they're good enough to get into the system. And therefore, obviously, when Darren's speaking to the coaches out there, he can say this player is as good as this other player we've placed, etc. So if I rewind back, essentially this is the same minus you manage your own recruitment. You still get access to Darren and the team on video calls like this, but where I said before, where we've got like WhatsApp groups with our families for constant communication, we have a shared Google Drive where we can provide insights on every school that's interested in them. All those additional extras come with this Premier Athlete package if somebody's offered a place. The last thing I'd say is we do actually, because particularly American players will look into the college system maybe from like 14, 15, you could start as an academy athlete and then if you've been offered a place, upgrade to a Premier at a later date. Darren, you might want to give some insight on this as well, because obviously legally going into what would be your junior year, you can't get contacted until June that year anyway, right? So if you're
Yeah.
listening and you're 15, you might think, well, I'll start as an academy, half the commitment. I technically can't legally be contacted by coaches right now anyway. And then obviously you could upgrade because, yeah, I don't know if you want to add to that, Darren, but obviously when you were doing
Well,
recruitment,
if you're a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, you wanted to sign up with us, we can still do your recruitment because they do look for freshmen and sophomores to see who's out there. They've got like depth charts per year group that they're looking for.
yeah,
While they can't speak to you as the player or the family, possibly they can't speak to us, and then
exactly.
obviously us go to you. So it'll be, if it's the 15, 16-year-old, it will be you speak to us about stuff, or we'll put your name out there, we'll see what's coming back, and then we'll relate it to you. But then as soon as you turn in your junior year at the right time, then they'll just be put in contact with you. So we'll just be the go-between,
Yeah,
which could help you more with your 15 and 16. But if you weren't with us, it would be your coach or somebody else, but they may not have the same experience that we have as far as to guide you in the right direction. But
yeah,
that's kind of like what will happen, I think, if you're younger than the junior year.
yeah.
And we say junior year will be when you're 17.
Yeah. No, you make a really good point there as well, because obviously if we're still promoting you, the minute you can get legally contacted, I mean, for our elite level players, a bit like on Harry Potter when he's going Hogwarts and all those letters start coming through the door, that's what emails would be like for those elite level athletes on the day that you are legally able to be contacted by coaches, because obviously you're already on their radar. So perfect. So as I said, more information on that on the website. Here's kind of what's involved with those packages. As I said, we've got university database. We talked about the additional extras like the SAT exam that you can get on our athletes' website. Um, then we've got an athlete database which coaches access. So at the moment, about 800 coaches a month access this across all sports. So I could come in here and say, look, I'm looking for a basketball player for 2026. He plays as a point guard and they need these grades. And then that's where, I mean, there's a track and field example on here, but the highlights are going to be key, Darren, which I'm sure you'll testify from recruiting, is because Darren can say this player's going to be the next best thing, next Steph Curry, unbelievable 3-point shooter. And then if there's 5 minutes of them missing 3-pointers, that's probably not going to back that up. So our word will go a certain way, but not every coach is going to fly over to see you or have you flown over. So the highlights can be really important to gauge their interest on that. I'm sure this all sounds amazing. Obviously, be a potential Michael Jordan, go North Carolina, end up having an incredible NBA career, albeit the chances of that obviously are just as slim as making it professional in any sport. Live in incredible places in the States, potentially come out debt free. Obviously, we can't guarantee where those offers will come from or what they'll be, but hopefully, what you'll get from this seminar is because of our selective approach, huge experience, will give you the best possible chance of getting the best outcome for you and your family. And then, yeah, without sounding like a teacher, which I never thought I'd be saying myself, having been a former student athlete, but there's still a lot that's under your control as a student athlete, particularly say you're an academy athlete, like 15, there's still some key areas over the next few years that you could work on to make yourself a more attractive proposition. And again, Darren and the team can guide you with that. They'll say, look, you need to work on your shooting, you need to work on your footwork. Darren knows and his team what you need to be doing and look like as a product in order to get the interest from the schools that you're hoping to go to. And we'll always be transparent on that. But also like what level of support you get, how you get on with your grades. So you might have even done, for example, you're in England, you've done your GCSEs, but your grade point average is also based on your BTEC or A level, right? So there's still things under your control that can make you a more attractive proposition. How you perform where you're filmed, how you do in your entrance exam, how you get on with coaches, because Darren and the team can connect the dots, but if you're late for the call, if you miss a call, then you've done no research on the school. There are other kids that will do that, right? So again, we can provide the guidance, but it's ultimately you that's got to make the good impression on the coach for them to be willing to give up one of their limited scholarships for you, and ultimately where you want to go. Like I love Chicago, but mom or dad might think that's got the high gun crime and not really feeling sending my son or daughter there. So look, everyone's slightly different with that, but we're here to do pretty much everything we can, but we need support along the way as well. So we give you all the tools and time and advice that you need, but ultimately, there's things that you can do as well to make yourself a more attractive proposition. Cool. So this stage, hopefully, I'll give you an overview about kind of like the process, the different divisions, how we help facilitate that. I'm going to run through some FAQs with Darren here, and then obviously we'll have some final thoughts on that. We won't be opening it to questions because it's a recorded one, but obviously encourage everyone to get in touch afterwards if they have any. Are you eligible for a basketball scholarship in America? Find out. It's pretty simple. Go on USSportsScholarships.com. Fill in the application, will take max 5 minutes. Darren and the team will review it and come back to you realistically with what that could look like. Highlight videos. To be fair, it might be a good time to get some insight from you, Darren. Obviously, coaches get hundreds and hundreds of videos get sent to them. What from your experience, having been a coach on the other side, would make you think, oh, hang on, I'm going to watch more of this. I'm interested in this kid.
It's just the focus. So can they see you? How they're going to see you, and then where you start the clip and end the clip, and what you show, and what maybe routine you have that you show. Most of the time they turn sound off, so don't worry about putting music on there. But everyone seems to put music on there. Just because if they're looking at 101, highlight reels, the last thing they want to do is, different versions of, rap that they want to hear on there. And then there's other things that we'll go into that, make sure they know who you are on the video is a good thing. There's a lot of things that we can go into to support to make it good, but as far as the importance of it is huge, because that's your first selling point. And any coach's first, they're not going to say, how you doing, what's up, let's have a conversation to get to know each other. They're going to say, I want to see film. And because they get hundreds a day of these film, what makes you stand out most probably is making shots or making big plays and being, but the thing is, anyone can look great on a highlight, saying it will go more in depth than that the more they become interested, and it will be tapered out as far as whether that you're someone they want or don't want. going back on what you said about missed calls or not emailing as fast, huge. They've got, as I said, a depth chart of about 50 kids they're looking at for one spot or two spots. You know what I'm saying? And if you're on it, they'll be with you. If they're not on it, you'll just be forgotten about, and then they've already moved on. I've seen it more often than not. So
Yeah.
being on it, once they get responding on the highlights. Yeah, highlight is huge. Is your
Yeah.
first selling point.
Yeah, no, that's great. And as I said, we can support with that and make sure that our athletes' highlight videos puts them in the best perspective for those coaches. You could take a gap year. So there might be some kids that think, oh, I've left it a bit late for this year. Could I take a gap year? Yes, you could. I did that again, but as I said, from my experience, it wasn't out of choice. Although there were some benefits to it, I feel like I was able to develop a little bit more as a player, playing semi-professional, and also saved up a bit of money to help contribute towards costs. Um, Exams, we've talked about what you can study. So a lot of people think a misconception is it's a sports scholarship, so I need to study something sports related. That's not the case at all. I mean, I did a business degree. I would say sports science and business are actually probably the most popular, but we've got kids doing psychology, engineering, we've got aeronautical engineering, people much more intelligent than I am. But ultimately, as long as what you want to study is offered by the school you're looking to go to, then that's normally a good start. And that's why it can be helpful for Darren and the team to know what you want to study, because there's no point going far down the line and you go, oh, the school doesn't offer that, because then that's going to be a problem. Some people might have a few options and be a compromise, but if you say, look, Darren, I want to be a zookeeper or I want to do marine biology, something quite niche, then just realize that there's going to be fewer options for you. And ultimately, it's a numbers game, and we're looking for one school that can tick all the boxes for you. Ideal time to apply. So I said, if you're listening right now, we are recruiting always really 2 years in advance, because, well, you could start as an academy athlete, but, and again, Darren, from your days coaching and recruiting, is as long as players graduate on time, you pretty much know 3, 4 years in advance what positions you're going to need. I know it's optimistic in any sport to think you'll be in the same job every 4 years, but people, the coaches do have those depth charts. They do know who's on the radar, particularly talented American players. There's so many tournaments, every single year for these club teams to try and get picked up by colleges. So it is super competitive as an international trying to get into the system. Um, what determines your scholarship? Again, I was naive and thought, well, because I'm fairly good at my sport, I'm going to get a massive athletic scholarship, but actually every school's slightly different. The one I actually went to in Chicago, I had half of my tuition covered because I was an international and half because of my sport. So even though I had straight A's and a 4.0 GPA, there was no academic scholarship there. So quite a niche and interesting one. And as I said, like, because I had my tuition covered, I was left paying food and housing. But then, as a on a student visa, an F1, you are able to work on campus. So I was probably earning about close to what I had to pay, and therefore that's how I was able to come out debt free at the end of it. Um, Other costs, obviously, you got entrance exams, eligibility centres, flights, health insurance, etc. But again, we can provide realistic guidance on that. Not all of those costs will be applicable to every single student athlete. And as I said already, like, you could work there. I mean, the dream I think is always to become a resident assistant, because they're going to pretty much cover everything. That's the
Get a
gig.
good deal.
Yeah, that's the gig everyone wants, where you just need to make sure people are, like, I don't know, alive on your floor each week is pretty much all you need to do. But
Easy.
yeah,
Yeah.
easy money. But as you can imagine, loads of people apply for that. But I mean, it's still the easiest work you'll ever do. I worked in the gym, the cafeteria, teaching assistant, any work I could get, handing out t-shirts at games, pizzas, ball boy, whatever you can do. Like I said, you're not going to be a millionaire, but like as a student athlete, that can be pretty essential money. I think some of the guys in the team just used it for spring break, but whatever you want to put that money to, that's completely up to you. Cool. So what's next? Like, hopefully this has been informative. So we could go into huge amounts of detail. This is just designed to be a real overview for you at the start of your process. But, feel free to apply on the website. We can organize a follow-up call with all of you to go in a bit more detail specifically about your situation and what type of school could be a good fit for you. Um, I guess that's it in terms of the content. What I'll do is I'm gonna hopefully won't stop recording. So I'll stop the share of the slides. Hopefully you can just see Darren and I again. But Darren, I didn't know if you wanted to share any final thoughts about the process or America before we wrap this up.
Um, just the understanding that I suppose when a player like you are right now, at the point you are within your career, you are with a club. I'll take it if it's from England or anywhere outside of America. Most probably it's a club because America is the only real place you have the collegiate setup that they do. Your coaches are going to be, or people that you're looking at are going to be most probably full on with the season. They're thought about next season as far as recruiting or this and the other. So they are, or maybe saying they're going to help distracted. So what I'd like to think is that we are here to help you as a player on every step that you're going to face going forward without the pressures of or distractions of other jobs within a team. So our pure focus is to help you, and through Liam's experience, my experience, from the highest level, from behind the scenes as a coach's perspective, could give you. I don't think there's many people in this country, as far as England, that I'm at right now, that can give you a better perspective than I can, because I'm the only British coach that I know of that's coached in both the EuroLeague and the NCAA. There are a few other coaches in the NCAA, but they're there still, that can help you and support you through this process. So I'd like to think that we're there to walk you every step of the way between now and signing the letter of intent, but also going through your 4 years, and then come at the end of it. And as I said, I've been in the pro game. If we are still talking at the end of it, which hopefully we will be, as far as graduation, maybe you want to go on and play professional, well, I can give you that assistance as well and point you in the right direction. So we're there basically as a support network for you and your family, to help you make the best decisions, and to have always, if there's a question, give you the answers within 24 hours.
Perfect, that's great. And to be fair, a little bit fun ending to this, Darren, which I don't know about you, which I feel like it could tell a lot about a person, although I feel like the answer might be 76ers, but what's your team in the NBA?
Well, because I know Nick Nurse, I suppose it would be the 76ers. It would have been Toronto. We're in that sort of circle, but not a big NBA fan,
Okay.
as far as watching it. But yeah, I'll say 76ers because I know Nick.
And what about favorite NBA player? Although you say you don't watch huge amount.
Jordan, always Jordan. He's never going to change. Jordan for me, he's the GOAT. Always will be. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
The guy is remarkable. You know what I'm saying? So we can learn a lot from him.
Yeah, love that. Well, being a Bulls fan, I feel like, we're not going to get upset over that at all. And one final fun fact is, I'm sure everyone's seen The Last Dance. I feel like it's impossible to miss it if you're a basketball fan. But when Jordan decides to become a White Sox player for the baseball, where he's training in The Last Dance is with a university that I went to, because it's just across the road from White Sox. So claim to fame for us. Not saying I was there at that time, but yeah, it's but look, for me being a basketball fan, it was incredible. Like, to be fair, the good thing was the Bulls were pretty crap when I was there, so tickets were cheap. I think if I was trying to go to a game when Jordan and Pippen and that team was there, I'd have probably found it quite difficult. But I was able to go to loads of games as well, which is a cool experience too. So,
Definitely.
but really appreciate everyone's time. Thanks for listening. Hope you found it helpful. Darren, thanks for your time as well. And as I said, we're here to support you from start to finish. And if you just want to find out a little bit more, please do apply on the website. And hopefully, we'll speak to you soon.
Definitely.